For more chat about geek entertainment, answers to your questions, and news from the wider world of Christian geekery, get the Christian Geek Central podcast today on iTunes and other podcast services. Hey guys, Peter Franson here from christiangeekcentral.com and Spirit Blade Productions. Time to give my reactions to the Xbox Bethesda showcase event for E3 2021. For those who are curious and watching this in the video format as I publish the videos throughout the week, I do have comments on Ubisoft and some other showcases that came before today that are related to E3, but I'm going to be saving those since I didn't have a whole lot really to comment on. I'm going to save those for my E3 wrap-up best games content that I put out later this week or later in this episode of the Christian Geek Central podcast, if that's how you're getting this. So I'm going to run through most of the announcements, rattling most of them off. There might be a few that I'll kind of skip just because they're not of any remote interest to me. And then I'll zoom in on just a couple and give a few more details and reactions to them. But first, we've got to get the big news out of the way, which they did as well in their presentation. Starfield, the big open world or open galaxy or whatever it is, spacefaring, space exploring RPG that will presumably be in the vein, systematically speaking, of the Elder Scrolls single-player games and the Fallout single-player games. Starfield is coming November 11th, 2022. Now, that's not a big surprise to people that have really kept their pulse on the industry because it was recently kind of leaked or let out unofficially that Starfield was going to be coming in late 2022. It will be exclusive to the Xbox Series X and S. I can't remember if they said it's coming to PC or not, but they were really making a point of saying this is exclusive to Xbox, so you have no hope of playing this on a PlayStation console or a Nintendo console, unless, I guess, Game Pass comes to one of those consoles, which would be very interesting. As far as aesthetically, you know, if you watch the video, you'll see this yourself. I think that it looks more like a Battlestar level of technology, futuristic technology, than, say, Star Trek. Doesn't look like they have teleporters and transporters, and the spacesuits that they're wearing are reminiscent of, you know, modern NASA suits, certainly more advanced looking, but people aren't walking around just breathing the atmosphere on a planet. No, it's clear that during this exploration, they are exploring hostile environments to human physiology, and so they have to wear these big, bulky spacesuits. There's bulky spaceships. The electronics have kind of a square, non-smooth look to them. The attitude of the game seems to be an idealistic one about exploration and discovering what's out there, but not a utopian aesthetic that you would find in, say, Star Trek. I didn't get that vibe, like this is a future that mankind is just at peace and we've worked out all of our problems. I didn't necessarily get that vibe from it. So I like the aesthetic vibe, the tonal vibe of what I'm seeing so far. I didn't see indications that it was going to have any of the Fallout kind of brand of humor. So it looks like it's going to be fairly serious just based on what we're seeing here. It is only a teaser, and it is only, I don't think it's in-engine, I can't remember, but I mean, it's, you know, pre-rendered CG, whatever, you know. So yeah, this one's, we got a while to wait, and I think that's not a bad thing. And I'll talk a little bit more about, you know, the decision to get an Xbox now or not a little bit later. But for now, I'll just say, yeah, if this was going to be the thing that was going to sell you on getting an Xbox, you might be disappointed, you might have been excited, but at the same time, as I've kind of been talking about now and then and reflecting on over the last year, this is a great time for us to just develop contentment, explore our backlogs, and remember what it is to really find the enjoyment, extract the enjoyment out of what we already have, rather than always chasing the new and shiny thing. You know, I'm not saying at all that this makes the pandemic worth it. Oh my gosh, no way. But is there something good about this situation that we can take advantage of? Yes, and I think that would be an example of something good. So, anyway, let's see here. The next one mentioned was Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl. I have no history with this series, so I don't have any comments, but it's coming April 28th, 2022. That's going to be a launch exclusive, so a timed exclusive for Xbox. Back for Blood is coming October 12th of this year, and it is going to be coming to Game Pass as well. Contraband, we got a CG trailer. I don't know if this is a franchise that's pre-existing or not, but it is coming to Game Pass. Sea of Thieves, this is an interesting beat. Sea of Thieves, A Pirate's Life. is a free update coming in June, on June 22nd of this year, coming to Game Pass, and it features Jack Sparrow, the Disney character. So I think that's a great fit for what little I know of this property, being kind of a lighter, almost cartoony kind of property. To get Jack Sparrow and Disney involved there, I think that adds significant value to the product. And they said it's an epic original story. I don't know if that means it's something you can play by yourself. I think it's really a multiplayer-focused game. But anyway, I think that's noteworthy. Yakuza Like a Dragon joins the many other, maybe the complete collection of the Yakuza games, at least all the ones that have been remade and remastered and stuff. All of those are on Game Pass, and Yakuza Like a Dragon joins them today, which isn't cool enough for me to pull the trigger, and get it, but which I will have the option to do, and let me come back to that in a second here. But so it's I'm not like chomping at the bit, like, oh yeah, awesome, that's exactly for me. But it does come pretty close to granting my wish for E3 of like those cool shadow drop moments where it's like, this cool thing's available now. Now, as a side note, I forgot to mention this at the beginning. I am expecting to get an Xbox Series X in the mail tomorrow, the day after that I'm recording this, and so I do have a little bit of energy in anticipation of that. I wouldn't say that I'm like truly excited. I'm certainly not jumping up and down about it. I already have a PlayStation 5, and as far as the new generation of consoles, for my interests, there hasn't been a must-buy game. I got my PS5 for a variety of different reasons, but a significant one among those was so that I could hand down my PS4 to my boys without missing it. So, and I have similar diverse collections of reasons for getting a Series X now as opposed to waiting. I'll talk about that a little bit later. Battlefield 2042, not an exclusive in any way to Xbox. That's coming October 22nd, 2021. I like the sci-fi setting. I've got two other of the two most recent Battlefield games on PS5 through PlayStation Plus, and so I might try them out a little bit. I hear the campaigns are really short. It's very much a multiplayer-focused game, but seeing that they're going in a sci-fi direction makes me want to dip into those games, try out the gameplay, see if it's for me, so that if it is, maybe way down the line, when Battlefield 2042 becomes really bargain bin cheap or included in some service I'm already paying for, then it'll be worth checking out. So that's a little bit of a blip on my radar. 12 Minutes. This is a interesting top-down indie game that you're playing basically the same 12 minutes of this game over and over again, but you as a player, and maybe as the main character, I'm not clear on that if it's a time travel story or not, you are able to try different things during this 12-minute segment of gameplay to try and save your life and the life of either your girlfriend or your spouse. I'm not really clear on that, but anyway, it's really interesting to see how it's a very Groundhog Day type of game scenario, and it can have reportedly wildly different outcomes depending on the choices that you make. So anyway, that is coming to Game Pass, not exclusively to Xbox though, on August 19th, 2021. Psychonauts 2, this is from Double Fine Games or Productions or whatever the next word is in their title. But this one is owned by Xbox, and so I'm a little surprised that I didn't see exclusive, but it is coming to Game Pass. So I'm not sure what the story will be. Maybe it is going to be exclusive, maybe not. That's coming August 25th, Psychonauts 2. Okay, Skyrim. The 10-year anniversary of Skyrim, if you want to feel old with me for a moment, is coming this November. And one of my predictions was that there's going to be some kind of thing that they're going to announce that they're doing for Skyrim 10th anniversary, but it's going to be really disappointing and just not feel like the proper celebration of Skyrim, given how huge a game that is in terms of pop culture significance. So they very just briefly said that the anniversary is coming, and they invited us to go to Skyrim10.com and to be a part of the celebration. They said, we can't celebrate the 10-year anniversary without you. And I'm like, okay, that sounds like a sly way of saying we don't really have anything planned. We got other things going on. We're not going to put a lot of effort into this, so send us your videos and stuff. And that's really what it is. It says, we're working on a special project that will be unveiled later this year during our special Skyrim 10th anniversary celebration, and we want you to be a part of it. So, and the way you do that is by submitting your stories of what you've enjoyed in Skyrim, or what it's meant to you, or what, I don't know, But it looks like their 10th anniversary thing is going to be some kind of a just kind of maybe a video that they'll put up or something. What I really want is some kind of content change, update, or something that will get me excited to get back into Skyrim, since we're going to be waiting until after I'm dead to get Elder Scrolls 6. Let's see here. Fallout 76, the Steel Rain update is coming on July 7th, 2021. And then there's another one called Expeditions The Pit that's coming in 2022. Both of these are going to be on Game Pass. Hades, this is a very popular and celebrated indie game that's a roguelike, Diablo-ish looking kind of deal. I've not played it myself, but that's coming August 31st of this year to Game Pass. Somerville is coming in 2022, arriving on Game Pass. This one is very interesting to me. There's no user interface that they displayed, but it looks like a very low poly, low fidelity, kind of artsy kind of looking game where you're playing as a small family that's trying to survive what looks like an alien invasion. And so it definitely has my attention, but I need to know so much more about what the gameplay is to see if it'll be something I can enjoy or not. Halo Infinite is coming holiday 2021, which will also land roughly on the anniversary of Xbox, the 20th anniversary of Xbox, which also makes me feel old. Let's see here. A significant announcement, well, it was news to me, is that the multiplayer for Halo Infinite is going to be free to play. So I thought that was newsworthy if it hadn't been announced already. That's very interesting. Also, given a trailer, Diablo 2 Resurrected. This is a remaster of the original Diablo 2. It's not coming exclusively to Xbox or Game Pass, but that's coming September 23rd, 2021, and there's a good chance that I will give that a try if I'm able. A Plague Tale Requiem is coming in 2022 to Game Pass. Not exclusive or to Game Pass is Far Cry 6, coming October 7th, 2021. Slime Rancher 2 is coming in 2022. It'll be a timed exclusive for Xbox and will be on Game Pass. Atomic Heart. This is the very Bioshock-inspired game coming from, I don't know, is it a Russian developer maybe? I'm not sure. I think it takes place in Russia, but this game world looks so bizarre and weird and interesting, and if it has Bioshock-like gameplay, as long as it's not too difficult, I am really interested in this game, have been for several years. I've wanted to see more of it. I'm going to have to dig a little bit between now and my wrap-up content for E3 this year to see if there's any kind of release date. I thought I remembered reading at some point that it is coming this year, but don't quote me on that because I could be very wrong. I was disappointed to not see a release date when they featured it here, but knowing that it's coming to Game Pass is cool news, and again, at least for me, and I'll explain why in a little bit. Replaced. This is I thought it was Anno Mutation M. It's a side-scrolling retro pixel graphics kind of thing, but with some depth of field and lighting effects that are much more modern and wouldn't be possible back in like the 32-bit era of games. So I'm very interested to see what the gameplay is. Unfortunately, just looking at the animations, it looks like a deliberate type, Souls-like combat where you have to be very deliberate about when you dodge and when you block and stuff like that. But aesthetically, it looks very cool. So if it could possibly be approachable enough for a crappy player like me, I will likely be very interested in it. Grounded Shroom and Doom, the update, is coming on June 30th of this year to Game Pass. Ayuden Chronicle 100 Heroes. This one, I believe, is from the same creative head of the Suikoden games, which were PlayStation 1 era JRPGs that involved this epic story where you could recruit up to 100 characters and have them be a part of your interchangeable, 4 to 5 person adventuring party. And I did play all, I think, of the original Suikoden, but I didn't play any of the games after that. I did rebuy the first one, and I might end up playing it now, picking it up again and see if I can play through it again and maybe more in the series after seeing this, because this trailer was really, really interesting to me. It had that Octopath Traveler type of vibe to it. Again, like I mentioned with Replaced, pixel art graphics, but really, I would say much higher fidelity than PlayStation 1 is capable of. But lots of that depth of field stuff. So like 2D graphics on a 3D plane with modern lighting effects. I was almost entranced by what I was seeing in the trailer for this. So that one, but unfortunately, we have to wait for a while. It's coming in 2023. It is coming to Game Pass. And then Ayuden Chronicle Rising, not Ayuden Chronicle 100 Heroes. That's the first one. But also in that world, Ayuden Chronicle Rising looks like maybe some kind of a side-scrolling action game or beat 'em up. I'm not sure what I was looking at. There was a very brief clip for that one. But that one is coming earlier. That one is coming in 2022 to Game Pass. It almost seems like a placeholder to get us, whet our appetites, get us interested in the world, and hold us over until the 100 Heroes comes out in 2023. The Ascent is a game I'm curious about as well. It comes July 29th of this year to Game Pass. It has a timed exclusive deal with Xbox. It looks like a isometric, top-down action strategy game. I don't know. It didn't quite look action-y enough to be a Diablo-type game, but it also didn't look turn-based, and so I'm not sure. I want to do more research on this one, and maybe after doing that, I'll end up featuring it later in my best games of E3 2021. But it definitely has my eye for now as something that I want to know more about. Age of Empires 4 is coming to Game Pass on October 28th. The Outer Worlds 2, even if you're not a fan of The Outer Worlds, but you like watching new trailers. You tend to watch trailers and maybe get a little bit hyped for games that are being announced. Go watch the trailer for The Outer Worlds 2. Now, this is going to be an exclusive to Xbox consoles, and it is coming to Game Pass. But it's a long way out. They didn't give a date for it, and the trailer involves this voiceover that is basically mocking what is typical of all trailers of this type. It was beautiful. It had me laughing out loud, I think, at least once or twice. So, yeah, if you just want a good chuckle, check out the trailer for The Outer Worlds 2. Let's see here. And then they put a splash page up showing a bunch of games that are coming to Game Pass, in the next 6 to 12 months or whatever. And I had forgotten or never knew about a couple in that big long list that are of interest to me. One is Scorn. This is a horror-type sci-fi game, very much based on H.R. Giger's Alien-type aesthetic, and that's coming in fall of 2021 to Game Pass. Not a game I would risk buying, but I might try it on Game Pass. We'll see. Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance is definitely a game I'm interested in. Don't know if I'll buy, but that's coming to Game Pass on June 22nd when it launches. And then finally, their One More Thing game was Redfall. This is coming in summer 2022 to Game Pass and is an exclusive to the Xbox consoles. It's an open-world immersive shooter made by Arcane Studios, who made the Dishonored games and Prey. You can play it solo or with friends. It has an interesting aesthetic. It looks colorful and yet dark. It's very contrasted tones, has some cartoony visuals, and it's straddling that fun animated visual vibe with dark and scary. Maybe almost comic booky, but not in a fun, goofy, childlike sense, but comic booky in the sense that there are many comic books that can be very colorful, but also dark and brooding. Maybe not brooding, but dark at the same time. So sci-fi, actiony, combat looking stuff. It's just a CG trailer, so we only have the CG trailer and the history of this studio to go on to figure out what kind of game this is going to be. I do like the fact that they mentioned it's open world, so that's interesting to me. But yeah, sci-fi, actiony weapons, and also at least one character with these Green Lantern looking type powers, except her energy constructs are purple. But it was a really cool looking thing that she was doing. There's some teleporting going on. I was getting slight Agents of Mayhem vibes. A lot less cartoony looking than Agents of Mayhem, but still looks like a game that it's going to go dark and violent places because they're fighting vampires and stuff. That's the main antagonist, I think, is these weird vampires. So it's definitely dark, but also has a jumpy, shooty, actiony, cartoony vibe at the same time. So very, very interesting contrast of tones there. I gotta say, I'm disappointed that we didn't get anything about Avowed except a brief mention, so we know that it still exists and they're still working on it. But I wanted a full blowout and a 2022 release date. So at this rate, it looks like that's not going to happen. Who knows when that, right now I would guess 2023, which is a little bit of a bummer. No Bard's Tale, or I don't think anything from In Exile, unless I missed something. In Exile is the one that makes the Wasteland games, I believe. But anyway, I kind of wanted an RPG of some kind from In Exile. I don't think anything like that was seen in this showcase. No Fable 4, it was mentioned, but no Fable 4, and no Wolfenstein, which I would have loved to have seen a teaser for what's coming in the third game in that trilogy, but nothing. Wolfenstein again mentioned, so it's an IP they clearly still care about. But I have to say that this was a pretty impressive showcase just in terms of the number of games that they have coming. Now, they are far out, so in that sense, it's still like, okay, Xbox at E3 has for a number of years now been talking about what they're planning, what's coming down the line. And you can tell from this showcase that we're getting closer to what's coming down the line. They can show us some of what's coming down the line, but it's still a lot of talk about what's coming a good ways out still, unfortunately. Let's see here. The games in the next 6 months that are exclusive to Xbox, I thought this would be worth just kind of highlighting, would be Back 4 Blood, Halo Infinite, and The Ascent as a timed exclusive. So just 3 games, and one of them a timed exclusive coming. So you'd have to decide for yourself: are any of those 3 games must-buy purchases on day one? Are they a system seller for you? I actually think that Halo Infinite, for a number of gamers, will be a system seller, but I don't know about Back 4 Blood or The Ascent. As far as games confirmed 12 months out, like given specific dates within the next 12 months, that's just Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl, and again, that's a timed exclusive. There are a number of games that I listed there that are coming in 2022, but they don't have specific release dates, and so in my mind, especially with the last year we've had, they could always be pushed back. So I don't think for a lot of gamers, there's stuff here that should make them think, I need to get an Xbox Series X or S now. I got to jump on this right now. I think a lot of gamers, if they stop and think about what actually is coming that they can only experience on the Xbox in terms of just games being released, not necessarily features, but games being released. I think a lot of gamers would be right to say, you know what? I can wait. I don't need to pull the trigger on this right now. And that's something that I have wanted to develop more and more in myself over the years, and something that I try to encourage through our Summer of Free events, which is running all this summer again, and in other times throughout the year, just encourage frugality and not getting caught up in hype and making impulse purchases. But we want to be good stewards of the resources that God has given us. And that being a good steward doesn't mean, we don't spend money on entertainment, but I mean, given our income, there should be a reasonable proportion in terms of the money we're putting into our own entertainment and the money that we're giving to things that God wants to do in our local churches or in ministries that we want to support. And so, or just people that, in our lives that we're interacting with, that we realize, oh, I could meet a need here. But we might in those moments feel like, but my budget's already tight. Well, the more we're able to be in control of our budgets, control our spending, be frugal and conservative in how we spend our money, the more we won't have that feeling that holds us back from being generous and saying, we can help this person. I can help this person. I have the resources. I have the flexibility because of how I'm handling my finances to be able to help this person. And so I do think that being frugal is not specifically a Christian discipline, but I think it is a Christian discipline that we ought to pursue, and maybe especially as geeks, since we, more than many others, can find ourselves really getting caught up in spending and buying and consuming, So if I were to try to talk in those terms for a moment and think about, like, okay, what should I pull the trigger on this? I mean, as I've said, I've already got one coming. That's for a variety of reasons. And one of them, well, I'll get to in a second, but going only off of games. If I was not making content and I was going only off of like games that are exclusive, I would wait, especially since I have a PlayStation 5. But even having a PlayStation 5, I've been feeling, in the last 6 months that, I'm glad I got it for the sake of my boys getting my PS4. But there's nothing that I've experienced on the PS5 that, by itself was worth me buying it when I did, And so let's see here. But I do think that the Halo will likely be a system seller for many. I'm also seeing potential in Game Pass as a way to try out games, especially if given a purchasing discount that offsets the cost of the quote-unquote rental. If you just get Game Pass for a month, try out a bunch of games or whatever, And I think that is the case with at least some games. I'll want to investigate that more, but I think there's a potential to leverage that in a way that's very cost-effective. I still do not see value in Game Pass as a way to play completely through games, for me, especially third-party games. The reason I say that is I, as a gamer, like to play the games that I feel like playing because that gameplay or that game, for whatever reason, is what I want to play right now. If I'm on a subscription service and I'm trying to be frugal and not have it year-round if I don't need it year-round, then I'll be thinking to myself, oh, I got to finish this game by the end of the month. Or if it's a third-party game, many of those third-party games on Game Pass come in and out of being available on the service, much like Netflix or Amazon Prime or other streaming services. And so again, you're on a clock. You feel that pressure to I got to play this game and get it done with. That's just not. I don't want that driving me at all as I'm unwinding at the end of the day and want to recharge a bit. I don't want to feel obligated to play one specific game as my main game for a number of days or weeks or whatever. But I do have to say that specific to me as a content creator, I see even more value in Game Pass as a rental because when I'm renting games to review them, and this is just kind of, I guess, some behind the scenes view of kind of like how I do things. I use the money brought in from Spirit Blade Productions through people supporting me on patreon.com/Spirit Productions. I use some of those funds to pay for rentals or reviews to see movies and stuff like that. And so that's which allows me to review games that I wouldn't risk my personal fun money to try out because I'm not sure if I'd like them or not, And so for me personally, in the shoes that I particularly am in, I see some appeal to, try out some games that might be interesting to me, have my Spirit Blade Productions money pay for Game Pass that month in order to do the review, and then potentially have a discount on purchasing it if I decide after doing the review that, oh yeah, I would like to have this game, So I know that I'm in a very specific situation, but I'm just trying to share my thought process with you, not because you're in the same situation as me, but because I maybe just in seeing how I'm processing all of this, maybe something will trigger in your mind of how you can process your own choices and how you're going to be spending your money. I am starting to see the Xbox Series X and especially the S as the choice for cautious/frugal gamers or gamers with families. I think even the X falls into that category, but the S, since it's less expensive, maybe even more so. Gamers with families that also play games, there's going to be a wide variety of tastes and interests in there, and that's where I think there's a lot of value in Game Pass. And so, yeah, I think that, I guess just in summary, I would say that Xbox cannot control or predict the future. As always with these things, we got to remember these are plans and promises. They can all fall apart, or they can come to fruition but fall short and be disappointing to us, But just simply in terms of what they are planning, the kinds of things they want to do that appeal to me, just speaking personally, Xbox is now, I think, officially the platform to beat in my mind. That could change for me if Sony announces the right kinds of things very soon. I don't think they will. Maybe they'll announce some things soon, but not the kinds of things that are going to compete for my interests, my preferences, my priorities, like Xbox has been doing very well recently. So at the very least, Xbox has left a giant PlayStation-shaped hole right now, leaving me looking over at Sony and saying, okay, guys, what do you have that can compete with that? So, those are my thoughts for now. Would love to get yours in the comments below. Please like, share, subscribe, click that bell to stay connected. And I think that's all I have to say for now. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. The Christian Geek Central podcast is the longest-running podcast for Christian geeks with over 600 weekly episodes and counting, featuring audio versions of much of the same content you'll find here, plus exclusive content including weekly news updates from the creators of Christian comics, novels, and video games, debriefing and commentary about what I've been playing, reading, and watching, and my expanded responses to your comments and questions via YouTube, email, or the Christian Geek Central forums. And now, with timestamps, so you can jump straight to the segments you want to hear most. Get the Christian Geek Central podcast today on iTunes and other podcast services, and enjoy one more way you can geek out and seek the truth.